Hello, beautiful creatures of the world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. It is a rainy, hot, humid day here in the far north of Maine, up along the Canadian border, in the crown of Maine. This is just going to get bigger and bigger as we go. It's absolutely crazy, the hair. I have to wear it down because it's tired of being up, and it tells you get a little headache every time you put it up, and it's just sick and tired of being up, but this is why I don't wear it down on these days, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. If you've never been to my podcast before, we talk about my hair a lot around here. I have curly girly hair problems. I am also growing older with grace and the attitude of gratitude. I just noticed I'm getting a beautiful little skunk stripe here. I love it. If you've never been with my channel before, you do not know the backstory and why I'm so excited to grow old. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining my show for the first time, quick backstory. For those of you who know the backstory, you can go grab yourself a quick cup of coffee. I was very young. I was 14 years old. I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. I was given a life expectancy of 40 years old. When I had my third child at the age of 24, I had a near-death experience. I'm pleased to say that I am now 13 years past my expiration date, and I am very happy about it, and it feels good, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. So I am very happy to be growing older with grace and the attitude of gratitude. If you are vacationing here in the far north of Maine, I do apologize for all the rain that we're having. We've had rain every single day for the last couple weeks. It's been terrible. We've had unscheduled rain, and now we're in the scheduled rain portion of the program. Apparently, this is the last day. We're supposed to have a great weekend. The temperatures are supposed to get up there in the 80s. The sun is supposed to shine until Tuesday. A lot of people take their vacation time up here. They love vacationing on the 4th of July, the week of the 4th of July. We are inundated with vacationers, and a lot of people that live away now but are from the area, they like taking their work vacations and coming home for a couple weeks because we are now into Potato Blossom Festival week. So we're hoping that the rain doesn't come on Tuesday like it's supposed to. I'm really tired of it. I'm tired of not being able to be in the meditation tent because it's just a swampy mess in there, and there's an old adage in the county: if you don't like the weather, wait a minute, it will change. And it will. It does change. I'm just hoping it doesn't come back because we really do need an amazing Potato Blossom Festival. It's just been too much shenanigans that are going on in the news, and too much shenanigans happened last weekend in Fort, and it's just, the community needs a break. Absolutely. We need a break. We need to decompress. We need good news, and we need a little bit of lightness in our lives. So that's what I'm going to say on that subject. We celebrated the week of the 4th of July. We are now celebrating the week of the Potato Blossom Festival and his birthday. Yes, it is his birthday week. As a result of all the celebrations, we've been inundated with company coming and going, and it's just been great. Everybody's been over. We've had little bonfires, little cookouts, all that great stuff. And our friends have stopped by. They've brought their kids, their grandkids. So it's just been an amazing weekend. It just continues. The celebrations never stop here on the homestead. It just continues until his birthday comes, his birthday goes, and then we'll finish it up with the Potato Blossom Parade, and we're just back into a regular summer life here on the homestead. A little bit more relaxing. I love having the company, but I also love to see the company go because it's just very hectic. We don't have a very hectic lifestyle here. There's a lot of things when you have a homestead that you can't do. You know, you're kind of stuck on your homestead. And when you have people hanging out with you or they want you to go places, it just becomes very chaotic. Your quiet life, your simple life becomes very hectic. The hustle bustle life of the city when the city people want to do stuff. With all the company, we've had young people around, and they've ranged from the ages of 14 to 26 years old. And you need to not always be a stodgy old adult when you get young people into your social circle. You like to listen to the young people, to their opinions. You like to try to learn from them. And you hope that they like to listen to your opinions and learn from you. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, who knows. They're growing up in a much different time than we grew up in. We're Gen Xers here. So we grew up in the 70s and 80s. And it was just so different than what these kids are experiencing. Raising kids was different in the old days. I would not want to have the responsibility of raising children today in this. It's this. They are so connected to the internet and so disconnected from the people in their immediate sphere. It's a very wild thing when you have discussions with young people. So you're trying to find a way to connect, and I found that way to connect. There was a few children that I encountered over the last couple weeks that were like, "You're a content creator? Oh my gosh." So we got to talk a little bit about content creation and kind of what we're going to talk about here today. They have friends that are TikTokers. They also have friends that have tried to make YouTube channel, and it hasn't gone so well. And they're they want to do it, but they're not sure. And there's a lot of self-esteem problems with today's youth. They're hyper conscious of everything from the way they look to the way they act to the way they speak. And they're growing up under a lot of pressure. And it's just as no good can come of it. Like I said, Gen Xers, we grew up in a simpler time. These kids are growing up with these online challenges. We grew up in the day where your friend challenged you to jump out of a tree 40 feet in the air, and you were like, oh, hell no, because if I break my leg and go home, my mama going to kill me. You know, we didn't do that. We had common sense. Didn't have to prove nothing. I was always a person that had to prove nothing. If my friends were being stupid, I just walked away from that nonsense. I'm not going to get killed when I get home. I was more afraid of my mother than I was about being teased by my peers. Absolutely. Foolish people. We reminisce here on the homestead, and we grew up in a time where there's no proof of any stupidity. Nobody's got proof. I'm sure there's a picture or two of me out there when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. But there's no proof that anything wild happened back in those days. There's no video proof. There's no photography proof. There's nothing like that. And I tell people when you get together, class reunions and all that crap. And I'm like, yeah, you're talking conspiracy theories now. You're of a certain age. You're starting to lose it. Early onset. So, it's just nowadays it's filmed. The friends are filming you and posting it online, and it's embarrassing. And that kind of embarrassment never goes away. It's just there. Always. Even if you scrub the internet, even if you scrub your information from the internet, there are things that are there that you were not even aware of. And I think that's very sad for these kids growing up now. And now they all want to be famous TikTokers. They want to have the amazing YouTube channel with 150,000 subscribers. And they don't know how to get there. And we had a lot of discussion about content creation and why a lot of people do not succeed being a content creator, because more people fail at it than actually make it. And you have to understand that statistic when you go into content creation. We joke around here on the homestead that I am the smallest syndicated podcast on the internet. I send my stuff into my distributor, they throw it everywhere. I don't even know some of these platforms that I'm on, but I'm there, and on a couple platforms, I'm making a little money from it. Not enough to make a dent in anything. I don't have any sponsors. I can say what I want and do what I want, provided I'm within the parameters of the algorithm. And there's always things that you need to worry about when you're content creating, such as what you say, how you say it, where you say it, and why you're saying it. Because the algorithm doesn't like a lot. You have to keep up on, which is a full-time job, keeping up on the terms and agreements on these platforms, because they change every single month. Now we have platforms that are going to once again institute the misinformation, disinformation policies. And you can lose your channel in a heartbeat. So what do I say to young people that want to create content? First of all, you don't need any special equipment. You got a phone, you're a content creator. If you want the audio end of it, all you need is your little laptop. Put an app on it, record your voice, find places to distribute your podcast to, and be yourself above everything else. Whatever you choose to podcast, make sure you are always you. Don't worry about the hair fussing. Don't worry about the makeup. Don't worry about the background as much. It's what you're saying that really does matter to people. Even if you got a froggy voice saying it, it's what you're saying. You can't worry about other people's opinions. We're a variety show. I'm a variety show. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I like talking about politics and news, but I am a three-dimensional, well-rounded person. I also like talking about life, love, the pursuit of my happiness and your happiness. I like talking about relationships. I like talking about marriage, kids, big kids, little kids, grandkids. I like talking about being in nature, living close to the land. I like talking about my homestead and my livestock and my gardens. I like cooking. So I like showing things that I cook. I like making herbal medications. I shouldn't say medications on these platforms. I like making herbal ointments and salves and tinctures that we use daily here on the homestead. And I like filming that. I like preserving my garden, and we film that too. I like just about anything and everything that happens in life, and I like to put it on video. I like to video my experiences. My husband doesn't like videoing too much, but I like to video. It's a comprehensive record for my grandchildren, because there will be a time that I'm not here. My grandchildren are all very, very young, and we're getting a new baby in a month. So, it's just, I want to make sure I'm an older grandma, and I want to make sure that the record of my life is here in case they want to see it. And that's what I'm doing. So just be you, and don't worry about the content that you're making. These platforms will put you in a box. You don't need to put yourself in a box. For over a year and a half, the platforms didn't know how to brand me. You're trying to get in on an algorithm. They're seeing who's watching me, who watches other channels, what other channels am I like. I do DIYs, I do cooking, I do talking, I do news, politics, and they just didn't know where to drop me. They absolutely didn't know where to drop the genre of my variety show, because there's no variety show genre. You're a podcast, you're a news and politics caster, you fit into a box with them. And you just gotta film and do what you like to do. I knit. We show knitting on here. Do all kinds of crazy things on here. We're building a podcast studio, so we're filming that. We like to travel, so we're filming that. So it's just, we're all over the map here. I'm not trying to get rich doing this. I'm not even trying to earn an income doing this. I don't care about it, because I earn my income a different way. This is just a way for me to give back. we try to stay solution-based here. So we have a homestead, we live off-grid, and we try to talk about it a lot. And maybe somebody has a question that they can't figure out their homestead and they're living off-grid and they can't figure out how to do a thing. And they're too afraid to ask. And sometimes we just come up with the solution and they're like, perfect. And they modify it a little bit and they solve their own problem. So that's what we do here for content creation. And if you want to start content creating, do what you like and be authentic about it. Be you. If you like something, I can guarantee you there are at least 1,000 other people that like that thing too. And they're just waiting to come across a podcast that talks about it. The other thing is have fun while you are making your podcast segments. It's part of the Be You thing. I have a lot of fun. I also have a very morbid sense of humor. I have a dry sense of humor. And sometimes people don't get that. And that's okay. That's okay if you don't get my sense of humor. I use humor to point out injustices in the world because it's just funnier. And it's more accepted. And you can get into people's minds that way. I want to rent free space in people's heads, and I want to change people's minds or enlighten people on a subject. That's what I like to do. My humor is dry and it is morbid, and it is my grandparents' fault. Blame everything on my grandparents. My grandparents on my father's side, my grandfather's parents came from Ireland and my grandmother's parents came from Poland. They were immigrants. They came through Ellis Island, yada, yada, the whole big story. My grandparents from Poland were escaping communism, so they brought a lot of quirks with them. My grandmother was born in 1914. She was the first generation born in the United States. When she grew up, her parents were from a communist country, and they brought a lot of the horrors and traumas with them that they never wanted to see here in this country, because they were now in America. They were a free country. My great-grandfather did not want people speaking Polish in the home, so the family basically lost the language. It was not, you were American now. That was it. And he lived tried and true. He was an American. And he was a businessman. And he had his own business, and he did very, very well for himself. And as a result, generations profited and were privileged, the generations to grow up. I am the third generation on that side of the family. And I heard a lot of horrendous stories about what communism and totalitarianism and authoritarianism and all the other damn isms, the Marxism, what it's like to experience that and what you don't want happening in the United States of America. And as a result, my grandmother had a very dry, very morbid sense of humor as she explained things in the world. And I was always trying to fit in a box. I always wanted to be Polish. So I'm Polish. My grandma said, no, you're not. And then I said, well, then I'm Irish, because my grandfather was Irish American. And no, you're not. They didn't put the American after it. She was Polish. He was Irish. And my grandmother just looked at me and said, you are an American. That's it. So for the longest time, everybody's asking me my nationality. I'm a little kid and I'm going around going, I'm an American, because that is what I came from. So I do have this morbid, dry, wry sense of humor that not everybody gets, but I get it. People that know me get it. And if you're content creating and you have a weird, wild sense of humor, it doesn't matter if the people in the phone get you. It's the people that are around you. If they get you, then you live in life. This is not the end-all be-all, young people who are content creating. You are going to get people that subscribe to your channel. They're going to love you. And then you're going to say something that they're either not going to understand because you say it in satire, in sarcasm, and it can be the funniest thing. It could be just a facial expression, and you're going to lose that subscriber. Let them go. If you have People that you always need to explain yourself to, explain your content to, defend your content, let them go when they want to leave. It's the best thing that ever happened to you. Don't worry about who's subscribing and who's unsubscribing. Do not worry about how many subscribers you have. I am the smallest syndicated podcast on the internet, and I'm very proud of that. Don't compare yourself to anybody else's podcast and anybody else's rate of subscription. You can buy subscribers. Put the money out. Buy yourself 1,000 subscribers. Buy yourself 10,000 subscribers. Buy them. If you're really that interested in growing your channel like that. I like growing my channel organically. This is not the end all be all for me. This is not my day job. This is the thing that I just enjoy doing. I enjoy reaching out and helping people, communicating with people. That's it. I don't care about monetization. I don't care about subscribers. Monetization simply means that somebody's going to be over my head at some point telling me I absolutely can't say this, or they're going to pull my revenue. I'm my own revenue. As far as subscribers go, it doesn't matter how many people subscribe to my podcast. Everybody here subscribes. They're really smart individuals, and we do love each and every one of our subscribers. It is my audience. I appreciate every single person that does subscribe to my channel. Absolutely. You got to remember, without them, you don't have a podcast. So always keep that in mind. But when you have people that turn on you or unsubscribe, YouTube unsubscribes people too. Just let it go. Let them go. It doesn't matter. One more thing. If you are getting nasty comments from people, you got to have a thick skin to do this, young people. Young men and women. You have to have a really thick skin. And I don't mean a skin where you don't give a damn about what people say about you, because you should always care about how you present yourself. I mean a thick skin where you can take one for the team, take it on the chin, and move on. You don't know them in real life. They don't know you in real life. People don't hear what you're saying a lot of times because they have a bias. And that's fine. The minute certain things pop up, especially if you want to do politics, if you mention Trump, you're going to have the Biden crowd screaming at you. And if you mention Biden, you're going to have the Trump crowd screaming at you. Can't get around it. Can't go under it. Just walk right through it. And don't worry about it, because there's no big bearing on your life. Somebody says something to you, you just walk away. You don't have to fight and argue with people. You will get trolls. And I always tell people that podcast, the young people, if you're not stirring the pot and you're not getting trolls and people aren't being ridiculous in your comment section, then you just ain't doing it right. I like to try to at least peeve 2 people a day. That's my goal every day, because I know it's going to happen. Whatever you do in life, whether it is running for politics, running your own small business, or having your own podcast, as long as you are pleasing 51% of the people, you are succeeding. And when you look at subscriber numbers and you look at subscriber numbers for other channels, understand that the people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of subscribers have been doing this very thing that you are starting out now for 15 years. Nobody has come from the background of anonymity and shot up overnight to an internet sensation. Nobody. They've all had either a job that was based in some type of legacy media and transferred it over to the internet, or they have had a break. They were reporters, and then somebody whispered something to Joe Rogan and they showed up on Joe Rogan's podcast and they became an overnight launch. That ain't going to happen to you. Those are the one in a bazillion people. And you can watch some of them people on the internet. Go watch Timcast. He started out very young on the internet, and now he owns his own media company. It's absolutely fantastic. Follow these guys. Follow the stories. Follow Appalachia's Homestead. Follow Doug and Stacy. Follow the Canadian Prepper. They had humble beginnings, and they've been doing this for a very long time. And now they are who they are. And at one time, they were where you are, where I am right now. And they give a lot of good advice to podcasters, to content creators that want to work in the genre that they speak of. They tell you little things that are going on within the algorithm of the platforms, what you should say, what you shouldn't say. Another great podcast is The Quartering, Jeremy from The Quartering, and of course the Roseanne Barr podcast. I love Roseanne. And you get a lot of tips and tricks from these special people, these people who have made it and have succeeded in the public world because they have teams behind them. They have people monitoring the algorithm. They know what you should be saying and what you shouldn't be saying. They are supporters of alternative media. They want people like me, like you, in the sphere. They want to get the information out there, and they tell you what you can say, what you can't say, what policies are coming up, what their representatives have contacted them about, what they've had episodes taken down from. So follow them and take note. I take note from people that are younger than me, and I take note from people that are older than me. I'm somewhere in the middle. Again, this is not my life, young people of America that want to, or the world that want to do, get into podcasting. This is not my life. This is not reality for me. This is a good hair day, a bad hair day, a little bit of makeup. No filters on the camera, though. This is a good voice, a bad voice. I went to the thrift store. I bought a chair. I bought a blanket. I went yard sailing, bought a few kitschy little items. And a year and a half later, I'm building my own podcast studio. You can do it. It's persistence. Never quit. Never stop. Be yourself. And don't worry about anything. And when people get sassy with you, let them go. They bear no impact directly on your life. That being said, thank you to each and every one of my subscribers. I absolutely appreciate you. And we know here at Coffee with Kerri-Lynn, without you watching this show, I am just a crazy old lady that lives 15 minutes from the Canadian border, screaming into the abyss. Carpe diem, beautiful creatures of the world, because no one promised you a tomorrow.